Welcome back to the Bluegrass on this beautiful November afternoon. I'm out working puppies, and we got a fun video topic for you today, which is how to pick a perfect puppy. Okay. Now, this is Hank. Hank's hanging out with me for the month. I figured I'd show you guys this dog right off the bat because he is a Catahoula Leopard dog. You know, we used to call them Catahoula curs when I was a kid. Very interesting dog. And so he's going to be palling around with us. We just kind of let him hang out. He's only 12 weeks old, but he's pretty nifty little dog, so I thought we'd show him first. Okay, this is my mentor dog, Annie, okay? And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna get out a bunch of different dogs, and we're gonna talk about what I think are your primary considerations in deciding whether or not it's a good time in your life to get a dog, and if it is a good time in your life to get a dog, what type of dog should you get? Okay, so the only thing I need you guys to do is grab a notebook, okay, because a notebook is integral to this process. And, you know, I'm going to tell you what I think is important. Now, here's the thing, is that once I tell you what I think is important, then it's really in your best interest to go out and listen to what other people think is important, because, you know, I kind of like doing things the way I like to do it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's right. It's just right for me and people who do things like I do. All right, so just tag along and we'll work a bunch of dogs and we'll talk about the differences in choosing specific types, and we'll try to go into some detail as to how the type or the breed affects the total integration into your lifestyle. Okay guys, the format of this video is going to be very simple. I'm going to bring out a variety of young dogs that are here for training, and we're going to incorporate them into our normal morning training routine, and we're just going to kind of, you know, compare and contrast as we go. All right, so now the first thing that we're going to talk about is something that, you know, a lot of times people don't like to be honest about, but it's what we call style points, okay? Style points are really big in the world, and nobody wants to admit it, right? Like if style points weren't big in the world, everybody would drive a Honda Accord or a Toyota Corolla, right? So, like, look, when you look at a dog like Loki, obviously he gets 100% when it comes to style points, okay? And sometimes people will, you know, they'll let style override the other factors that they could be considering when it comes to picking a dog. Okay, so I want you to be very cognizant of the fact that you're going to have a certain type of bias that is the result of you seeing dogs, right? You're just going to see one, you're going to like the way it looks, and if you really like the way it looks, it's going to be really easy to convince you that you need that kind of dog. Okay, when I take Loki out, everybody stops me and they're like, oh, he's so beautiful. Where did you get him? Oh, I think I might want one of those. You know, and nobody asked me what he's like to live with. Nobody asked me what he's like to go hiking with. You know, nobody asked me if he's liable to dig a hole and under the fence and run away. They just say he's beautiful and they think they want one because he's so well behaved. Well, I mean, he's well behaved because he hangs out with me and my whole place is set up, you know, perfectly to make dogs well behaved. And he is beautiful, that's for sure. But for a normal person, this dog, I mean, listen, it's a lot on your plate. There's a lot of exercise that goes into this dog. There's a lot of management. There's a lot of patience, a lot of persistence that's required. Okay, so what I'm telling you there is don't be that little kid whose mom takes you to the shoe store and you try on a pair of shoes and you go, oh, these feel great, just because you like the way they look. Because when you get home and you have to wear them to school, they're going to be uncomfortable. Okay, so don't let style get in the way of choosing the right dog. Now, I'm not telling you not to, you know, let style be a factor, because I've tried that before and it never works. So I'm telling you, okay, we can look at style, we can look at how the dog looks, but let's make sure that we don't let that be the you know, the determining factor on whether or not we choose a certain kind of dog. So go ahead in your notebook and kind of jot down as you see these dogs, which dogs do you like the general type, the way they look, okay, and then we'll go from there. Now, another thing that you want to factor into what you're doing, okay, is overall athleticism. Okay, so not only does Loki get a score of 100 when it comes to style points, he also gets a score of 100 when it comes to athleticism. He's a very athletic dog. He has a super high energy rate. He's got a super high endurance level. He's got a relatively quick recharge rate. So he's a perfect dog if you're like me and you like to do a lot of activities in the morning, you like to do a lot of activities in the mid-afternoon, and you like to do a lot of you know, activities before bed. I mean, he is a, you know, he's a 3-session-a-day dog, and every one of those sessions, Like all I have to do between sessions is give him just a little time to rest. And then when I say, hey, Loki, are you ready to go? He's like, oh, sure, boss, I'm ready to go. And so the neat thing for me with Loki is I can get in a lot of training sessions per day, and I see a lot of people every day, and he makes me look good every day, except when I take the leash off of him. So we'll talk about that later. All right, so here's Loki. Great style points, great athleticism. What about how easy is he to influence? Okay, Loki has great pattern cognizance. In other words, when I'm teaching him something on the course, like he learns it very quickly. Okay. The problem with Loki, though, is although he learns things very quickly, he's smart enough to, to understand, like when he's in a position where he doesn't have to do things. Okay, so getting a dog, you can be going down your list. He's a good-looking dog. He's smart. He's super athletic, right? He's real friendly and outgoing. And then you get to the point to where you say, hey, but like, how easily distracted is he? Well, Loki's he's pretty easily distracted, okay? If we go out back and I don't have a leash on Loki, sometimes like he just gets distracted and he just starts leaving, okay? And I can tell by his body posture that he has no intentions of coming. So I'll call him and all the other dogs will run back to me and he pretends to be deaf, And if I didn't have my paths mode in a very specific way, and I still wasn't kind of pretty fast and pretty influential, I'm about 100% convinced that he would take some day trips, and would not be too interested in coming back on my schedule. All right, but this is what basic obedience looks like with him. I mean, what are the kinds of stuff that I do every day? I come out and I teach a basic vocabulary. I want to make sure that that vocabulary can be counted on to be implemented under a wide variety of physical conditions. I ride four-wheelers a lot. I go boating a lot. I ride my motorcycle a lot. Okay, and for all of those things, look at Loki. He is 100% down for all of those things that we do. Now, as I'm getting older, I also see a lot of older people. So we make sure to incorporate like the walkers and canes and wheelchairs into our day. And you can see that Loki, when properly exercised, properly managed, and properly motivated, can walk slowly enough and politely enough to be managed by somebody in a walker. Okay. If I was to tell you that this right here was easy to do when he first got up in the morning or when he first gets up in the afternoon, I would be lying. Okay. When this dog's full of excitement, he has a tendency to pull, and I wouldn't be comfortable putting him with somebody that really needed to use a walker. So I can walk him with this walker and I can make him look, like he's super well trained. But again, that's kind of giving you guys a false understanding of living with the dog, because my situation is set up perfectly to bring out the best in dogs. Okay, you see this a lot. Like you'll see a lot of people claiming dogs do a lot of like service activities and things that in a sterile environment, well, of course they do. But in real life, with a real regular novice handler, they don't. I can't remember, we're gonna put him in the truck. Okay, now another practical thing that you have to think about with your dog, like this Husky, like, we go to my farm a lot and I load a lot of dogs up in this van. And so when it's time to load a dog this size up in the van, like it should be easy for him, okay? But until he's figured out that it's easy for him, what do I have to do? I have to give him a little help, okay? Also, what if my dog got injured or sick, or what if they get old? I've got to be able to pick them up and put them in the car. Are you going to be able to pick your dog up and put it in the car? And if the type of dog that you like, the style of dog that you like, the size, okay, if you can do that right now, are you going to be able to do it in 5 years? Are you going to be able to do it in 10 years? Are you going to be able to do it in 15 years? Because a lot of these dogs, they live 15 years, It wouldn't surprise me at all if we get 12 to 15 years out of Loki. Okay, so I need to know physically, can I put him in the car? Can I put him on the vet table? Can I pick him up if something happens, if he gets hit by a car or something, which happens with these Huskies? Can I pick him up out of the road? A lot of things to consider like that. All right, now we're going to go out here, and I'm going to take Loki off the leash. Okay, and we're going to go for a little bit of a walk. And again, like he's gonna stay pretty close to me, I hope, right? And I'm gonna whistle for him. And he's gonna run, and look at that. You see how awesome that is? And it looks like he's great off the leash, okay? But right now, we don't have any other dogs out. My neighbor's horses aren't out, okay? And Loki, again, being very pattern cognizant, he understands that we're within the confines of my fenced area. And yes, it is a big fenced area, but once we go out to our pre-adventure area, he knows there's no fences, and I lose a little bit of control out of him, okay? But it's not that you can't have a Husky off the leash, but you have to put in a lot of early work with them, okay? So every day I come out here and I walk him around and I get some reps in of just me and him in the field. I selectively reinforce the faster recalls, the check-ins, okay, to let him know that I'm really happy with him when he makes decisions to come and check in on his own, and then we just gradually add dogs, okay? So he's really good at coming, even if I'm out back. Like if there's not much distractions going, I can walk him anywhere without a leash. As soon as I start seeing distractions in the environment though, okay, he's not like a lab. He's not like the Malinois you're fixing to see, okay? He's gonna get distracted and he's gonna go away, minus me having some ability to kind of force compliance, okay? And that comes from a lot of pattern work when they're young. Okay, so we'll go get another dog and we'll do the same stuff, have the same conversation, and I'll give you a moment right here to take some more notes. Very good, Loki. You're a very good dog. Cameraman just reminded me we had one more thing we were going to do. Retrieving is a big thing for us, so we're going to take and we're going to throw a retrieving item one time for each of these dogs. So I take and throw my retrieving item and see what Loki does. Okay, Loki, good boy. Come on. Very nice. Oh, he's a good dog. And that's about how a Husky fetches. Oh, that's not very nice. Okay, so look, see that same dog that looked perfect on my obedience course, right? Looked perfect when it's time to get in the van, other than the fact that he likes me to help him. Look when it comes time to getting something. Now, see this look where he has this? Here's one thing that a lot of Husky owners don't like to admit. That's the same look and activity that that they're doing when they have your neighbor's cat. Okay, these guys are notorious for getting your neighbor's cats. And so this is what'll happen. There goes your neighbor's cat. Dog gets it, and you're like, hey, bring me that cat back, dude. And he's like, no. And there he goes down the road with your neighbor's cat. Now, all you Husky lovers out there, don't give me any hate because you know I'm telling the truth. All right, we'll get a different dog. Give me that, dude. What are you doing? Oh, and look who's come out here. Oh my gosh, look at this puppy. Look at this good little puppy right here. That's a good dog. Oh my gosh, come here. Now, listen, one of the things that you guys don't understand is about these kind of dogs that are bred just to learn by doing, right? So this kind of dog here, you'll notice that he just kind of showed back up. The whole time that this dog is here with training, there's gonna be very little formal schoolwork with him because he's not a dog that's bred to need formal schoolwork. He's just a dog you just let hang around with you and give him a little feedback now and again, and next thing you know, he grows up to be awesome. So, now that is not telling you to go get one of these dogs because they are very tough to live with. All right, here we are with dog number 2. This is Ghost. Ghost is a nice Malinois puppy. Now, Malinois, Border Collies, Australian Shepherds, a lot of times you'll hear me refer to those dogs as dog trainer dogs. Okay, a lot of professional dog trainers get these various types of herding dogs because the dogs are so pattern cognizant and easy to motivate and athletic, right? So this is the kind of dog that a dog trainer gets to make them look really good. Okay, if dog training was really about dog trainers instead of dogs, the dog trainers would just have all kinds of dogs. They'd have Great Danes, they would have Mastiffs, they would have French Bulldogs, you know. But they don't, because dog training really is about getting the right dog for the activity that you plan to engage in, right? So, like Ghost, he's great for a guy like me. You know, I was telling you with Loki, Loki likes to get up in the morning and do some stuff, get a little rest, go out in the mid-afternoon, do some stuff, get a little rest, and then go do some more stuff before bed. Well, this is his partner in crime. This dog and Loki, they have about the same energy output, they have about the same endurance level. This dog has a slightly higher recharge rate, okay, so I have to do even more stuff with him than I do with Loki, okay. So, like, if you like this style of dog and you plan on doing something every morning, wait, every afternoon and every evening before bed with them, then this is a good style of dog for you, because there's not any dog-related activities that you're going to want to engage in that this dog is not going to do well. Okay? Now, here's where you have to be cautious though. Come on, up. This is where you have to be cautious though, is when you're watching videos of people like me doing stuff with dogs, you think, oh, I would start doing stuff like that with dogs if I had the right dog. Okay, no, that's where your notebook comes into play. Whenever you're watching and you see me start talking about the stuff I do with dogs, what I want you to do is in your notebook, write, Stonnie does a lot of stuff with dogs, and then ask yourself, what have I done every day for the last 2 years? Okay, because whatever you've been doing for the most part is what you're going to continue doing. And people have a hard time accepting that. But if you don't believe me, just look how many treadmills and weight sets and yoga mats there are sitting in people's garages. Everybody is going to start doing yoga. Everybody's going to start working out. Everybody's going to start riding the bike. Okay, everybody's going to start hiking. But when you go over to your friend's house, all that stuff is just sitting in the garage. Okay, it's just sitting in the garage. And that's okay for a backpack. Okay, but it doesn't work very well with a dog. Okay, so this dog here, he's doing pretty well for me. He likes to do all the stuff I like to do. Likes to get up on the four-wheeler. Easy, very nice. He likes to walk and learn to do stuff with a little bit of clicking and treating. Likes to chase a ball. When we first started doing the stuff with the walker, where Loki excelled, this dog would chase and bite the wheels because he has such a high chase and bite drive. You know, what you'll hear people talk about, prey drive or what have you. You know, but we can manage that. I mean, you see, I'm doing it right now. So could you be a person, you know, in a walker and have this dog? Maybe, you know, because luckily with this dog, like as he matures, he's probably going to like to fetch a whole lot. And so sometimes you can take this kind of high energy dog who, I'm not 100% convinced yet, but most of these dogs, over time, you can exercise them a lot with the retrieving. Very few dogs can you actually exercise with the retrieving. Most dogs kind of do what Loki did, where they get the retrieving item and it takes a little bit of, well, not a little bit, but a whole lot of effort to actually get them to deliver the hand properly, and they'll never do it to the point of fatigue. These Malinois, Border Collies, Australian Shepherds, field-bred retrievers, with those kind of dogs, you can be in a wheelchair or you can have a walker and you can use a chuck-it, and you can exercise them well into the point of you know, them being tired. You even have to sometimes be careful because you can exercise them a little bit too much, right? And get them a little bit too fatigued. Okay, so style points. This dog gets 100. Athleticism, this dog gets 100. Pattern cognizant, this dog gets 100. Okay, endurance level and all that, like, listen, it's high, so it's going to be 100 if you like to do stuff. If you only got enough, you know, time to exercise them once a day, going to be pretty tough. Okay, so where does this dog start to fall down? Where this dog really starts to fall down is in that he's very skeptical, okay? And so like you see, he's being pretty chill right now because there's not anybody out here. If we have a client come down that hill while we're making this video, he's gonna bow up, hackle up, and he's gonna start to barking at him. He's gonna start pulling on the leash, trying to get to him. If a new dog comes, right, he immediately starts bullying the new dog. He has a very distinct, what we call in-group, out-group preference. In other words, anything that he was raised with or he's around on a consistent basis, he considers that part of his in-group, and anything that he wasn't raised with, wasn't socialized with, he considers it part of his out-group. So if you're gonna get this kind of dog, you have to go way out of your way to socialize them to all the things that you just might even come in contact with later on in your life, okay? Because, no kidding, and the cameraman can vouch, cameraman, am I lying? This dog, anything new, I don't care what it is, anything new, and he gets after it. So, you know, people do this with these guard dogs all the time. They get the dogs that want to like protect them from evildoers. The problem is that you have a well-defined sense of what an evildoer is, and that well-defined sense of what an evildoer here, your threshold might be way up here. This dog's sense of what an evildoer is way down here, right? In other words, anybody that he doesn't know, whether it's an animal or a person, he's immediately going to put over into the evildoer category. You can see how right here, see how he's looking at the cameraman as the cameraman comes up close? He's already skeptical. He doesn't like that camera being pointed at him, you know, okay? So So you got to watch about that. Now, another thing with these dogs that think like that is you might be working on something, like let's say, for example, come on, get up there, nerd. When we first start working on something like riding a four-wheeler, it's really, like this kind of dog pick up quick that you want to get on the four-wheeler, but if you're not careful, sometimes when something in the environment changes, they'll be real reactive. Like a lot of people have sent me emails of these dogs getting themselves in trouble. You put them up on the four-wheeler and they'll jump down trying to chase the wheels, or the noise will come on and they'll start snapping, or you know, they'll jump up on here and you'll leave them, you know, and think they're gonna think they're gonna be good to stay, right? And then somebody else rides by on a four-wheeler and they chase it like they're gonna hurt it or bite it. So like you know, those are things that you have to consider. Sometimes dogs that are really good at stuff give you a false sense of security, right? And this is a type of dog that will 100% for sure give you a false sense of security, because when you're watching somebody like me that works with dogs all day, this dog looks amazing. I mean, he's only 5 months old and look how well he behaves, okay? But what you guys aren't seeing is all the random things that pop up during the day that it's just hard to get a camera on, where he's either humping some other dog or beating some dog up or barking at some old man with a walker, you know? Okay, so don't think that all those Instagram videos that you watch with this kind of dog are really, you know, fair representations of the totality of the dog's personality, because they're not. These dogs are bred to chase and bite stuff, so guess what they do? They chase and bite stuff. When this dog first came here for training, like every other Malinois that I get for training, the email starts off with, "Hey Stonnie, I've got a great dog, it's really smart, blah, 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 but." There's always that but. Buddy barks at everybody. Buddy lunges at the neighbor's dogs. Buddy chases the kids. Buddy nipped the kid. And that's what people say with dogs that bite kids. They say they nip them. Now, if it's your kid got attacked. But if you own one of these dogs that chase and bite stuff, oh, well, he just nips kids, okay? But, I mean, like, that's what you're getting. The trade-off for that is that they're awesome. I mean, they're good at everything. You know, I mean, my van, you know, it's a, you know, just kind of regular old, you know, soccer mom van, but with kind of bigger tires, I guess, you know. But like, look, he loves to go. He just jumps right in there, jumps right out of there. Come on, come on, come on. And you'll notice, see this, like, see, he gets in there, but since I didn't close the door and go over to get in the driver's side, he's like, well, I'll get out. In and out, in and out. He's just into and out of everything. Okay, all right, let's take him over here. Now, a great thing with these dogs, and this is for the Border Collies, the Australian Shepherds, Kelpies, Blue Heelers, just any kind of dog. It's a farm dog that's you know, bred to do a complex job in conjunction with a handler. Listen, guys, they're great off a leash, you know. So with Ghost, I can take him to my farm. I can take him to the river. I can take him anywhere, and I don't have to worry about him going too far, right? As soon as I call him, he's going to come back every time. And that's where him and Loki start to really, like, diverge, right? So Loki, the Husky, and Ghost, the Malinois, they're pretty similar in terms of their physical ability. They're pretty similar in terms of, like, their overall athleticism, right? Their pattern cognizance, but they're really dissimilar when it comes to that natural inclination to not go too far. Now, I don't believe that the Huskies are ever really thinking about running away. It's just that how far they're going is farther than the other dogs, right? So this dog, when we're out hiking, you know, he'll go off 30, 40, 60 yards, sometimes a little more. And come on. And as soon as I call him, he comes back. You know, and I think, honestly, that Loki is planning on doing the same thing. It's just he's not going 60 yards, he's going 6 miles. You know, I mean, because once I get Loki's attention, then he turns around and he comes back. It's just like, you know, he's a Husky. He gets on his mind, he's going somewhere, and he's going to go. And it's not that he doesn't love you. It's not that he doesn't love his home. It's just he's got things to do. And just like some people, you know, you don't want to stay home all the time. This guy here is always going to be pretty close. So I don't even have to worry about him. We just take off, and I don't even pay any attention to where he goes, because I know once I start creating an uncomfortable distance for him, he's going to suck right back in. All right, I'll get another dog. Oh, all right, so we'll just throw this retrieving item just as an experiment. Now, I'm not making any real efforts to get these dogs to bring this back. This is just for you guys, for your research. Come on, come on. Now, so right here we see kind of a similar thing that we got with Loki, except that now this puppy's farther out here now. Okay, so remember I was telling you guys that like Loki and this dog are very similar. Okay, that's kind of that dog's natural desire to retrieve. Come on, buddy. Come on, come on. And so the difference is going to be that after we've done that with this particular dog for a while, he's going to like chasing that so much that he's eventually going to figure out that bringing it back to me is what leads to the retrieving item being thrown again. And he's probably going to turn into a good high energy retriever. But in the beginning stages, you can see a cameraman can't even keep him on the camera. In the beginning stages, very similar to the Husky. Both of them like to chase, both of them like to get stuff, and both of them are equally likely to get your neighbor's cat and run off with it just like that. All right, here we are with dog number 3. Hank is a German Shorthair Pointer. Around here, we refer to German Shorthair Pointers as an integral part of the Southern Living starter pack, because you see German Shorthair Pointers on the cover of magazines like Southern Living all the time. Now, here's the neat thing. You start off with the German Shorthair Pointer, then when you upgrade from the Southern Living lifestyle to the Garden and Gun lifestyle, then you can get yourself a wire-haired pointing Griffon. They're very similar dogs. Now, you see that? You see how fidgety? And this is what you're going to notice. Now, granted, Hank's not been here for a really long time, but what you're going to notice if you get a German Shorthair Pointer or wire-haired pointing Griffon or a Deutsch Drachter or any dog that's bred to be a bird dog is they're going to be what some people refer to as fidgety, okay? Some people are going to call them stubborn, some people are going to call them hard-headed. And guys, I think those are really kind of unfair characterizations because this dog has been selectively bred to run away from a handler and find birds. Okay, so you can't really get mad at a dog for wanting to range out in front of you and find stuff and being drawn to sense and motion, okay, when that's what they were bred to do. Right? I always try to explain it to people like this. Like if you buy a big van like mine for hauling around dogs, okay, well you can't get mad at the van because it doesn't get very good gas mileage. Okay, and so you see this wind, it's blowing a lot of leaves and stuff around, and Hank's attention is going to those leaves. Now where you'll see this manifest in the summertime, especially with short hairs, it's not just about birds. Everybody's always worried about the birds, but I tell you what gets you is butterflies. All you people out there that are watching this video, if you have a German Shorthair Pointer, I want you to comment below and be honest, does your dog chase butterflies? And people say, well, Stoney, what's the big thing with the dog chasing butterflies? How many butterflies have you seen on windshields before, right? Okay, so what's that tell you? Butterflies fly out in the road, and if these dogs chase them, guess what happens? You got butterflies on the windshield and German Shorthair Pointers on the bumpers, right? So you got to think about that. Now let's talk about some of the stuff, how this dog compares. Style points, okay? Again, I kind of take care of very stylish dogs. This dog has high style points, right? I mean, he's a very stylish dog. Athleticism, he's very athletic, okay? Pattern cognizance, okay? That's where this dog is going to fall down in comparison to, say, a herding breed. You'll notice it's going to take us a little while to get him settled on the course, and I'm probably going to kind of have to like go back and start doing like a little bit more reinforcement work with him. I'm going to have to go to what they call a faster schedule of reinforcement to keep his attention. Right? See how I'm losing his attention to the leaves and stuff? I think what I can do here is say, hey, wait a minute, remember we're playing a game, and that game is, it pays off for you if you pay attention. And so if I make the game easy enough for Hank, I'll probably be able to control him, okay? Now, in the long run, I'm going to be able to get kind of the same level of behavior out of Hank that I get out of the other dogs, but that long run is going to be the long run, okay? In other words, it's going to take quite a while. And I'm going to have to like really be pretty cognizant of my reinforcement schedule. And I'm going to have to use fatigue to my advantage. And this is going to kind of be, if you buy a bird dog, what you expect every time you go out with them. Okay, every morning, every afternoon, every night. This dog, same energy level as the Husky and the Malinois. Like he's like, listen, he do stuff in the morning, he do stuff in the mid-afternoon, he'll do stuff in the evening, right? He's got a really high energy output, got a really quick endurance rate, really high endurance rate, and he's got a really quick recharge rate. He likes to do stuff all the time. But the first few minutes that we're out, it's always pulling and carrying on, okay? Now, this dog, honestly, this dog is kind of what we refer to here as, you know, part of a square peg round hole problem. This dog has really nice owners, but the owners do live in a suboptimal environment for a hunting dog. Okay? They live in a neighborhood where the yards aren't super big and the streets crisscross and they're relatively close to high traffic area roads. Okay, and remember I was telling you about the butterfly problem. Okay, the butterfly problem is not a big issue if you live around here on a farm. Okay, but it's a super big issue if you live in the middle of Lexington or Louisville. Okay, and there's a busy street every 30 to 40 yards. Okay, so I want you to watch as a combination of factors start to coalesce. I'm going to start rewarding a little more, and this dog is going to start to fatigue a little bit. And when his energy level gets to be manageable, okay, and he starts being able to focus on the reward work, then he's going to start to calm down, and he's going to start to be able to do this course with a lot more precision and a lot more focus. What I'm looking for every day is improvement over the day before. And so I know that this dog is capable of walking this course with the amount of pressure that it takes for me to maintain the leash with my left hand, hopefully one finger, okay? But I know it's going to take me a few times. Now these dogs get labeled as hard-headed, again, not really so much because the dog's hard-headed, but people lack the patience required to get these dogs kind of in the right mental state to be especially cooperative. So that's what we're going to do right here. We're going to walk him a little bit more. I'm going to reward him a little bit more, and we're going to see if we can't get him to calm down and do the course with focus and precision. See, like right there, he got to go away from me a little bit. He's thinking about getting to the next thing. That's not him being hard-headed. It's like a child that's rushing through their math homework. Do you see that right there? Okay, it's not that this dog isn't capable of walking on that dog walk correctly. Okay, just like most children are capable of doing their math, they just don't want to slow down, take the steps, and check their work. That's what you're going to notice training a Shorthair is like. They're a beautiful dog, advantages, right off the bat, style points. They're super athletic. One of the things I like about them as far as boarding them is they're very resilient dogs physically. Like they don't get hurt very often. They almost never get sick. They live to be, you know, pretty old. 14, 15, 16 is not at all uncommon. So I like these dogs. I like taking them out and I like watching them run and look for birds, okay? But as far as managing them every day, to have a Shorthair here in our program, we're always looking at 3 to 5 times as much labor per Shorthair as it takes for a nice field-bred lab, or even easier, a nice show-bred lab. Okay, so this part of the video will take a little longer, but I wanted to give you guys a real honest understanding of, you know, like what it's like to manage this particular dog. Okay, but I want you to understand that he can be managed, and he can most certainly do everything that you want him to do, that Loki's going to do, the Husky, or Ghost, the Malinois, in terms of just general obedience and activities. Okay, but it's going to take a little bit more patience on your part in terms of getting him to be able to calm down and focus. Come on, you can do it. Very nice. Very nice. Now, you should go back in this video and like count how many times I'm having to reward this dog and how many refusals I'm getting, how many missteps I'm getting with this dog as compared to Ghost, the Malinois. And you're going to see a bunch of different, and that's why, you know, you don't see a lot of professional dog trainers, you know, out making Instagram videos with German Shorthair pointers. Most of the dog trainers that, you know, show their work with the German Shorthaired Pointer, they're putting round pegs in round holes. In other words, they're out hunting with them, and they're doing those type of activities, or they're in off-leash environments where the dog can excel. This is another one of those dogs that runs away from you, but not with the intention of running away from you. Okay? He just runs away to see what he can find, thinking that you're going to come find him, which is what they were bred to do. Similar to with this little Catahoula that's walking around here somewhere, right? Like, it's a dog that was bred to run away from people, chasing game animals or stock animals, and make noise until the people come and find them. Okay, so you don't get mad at them. You know, like you can't get mad at the dog for doing what it was bred to do. Okay, you just have to be very patient. Now, one of the things that I really want you to notice is whenever, like especially when we get up on that little A-frame there, watch Hank's nose go up in the air and his head start twitching around. So Hank is especially drawn to like anything that's moving in the environment from you know, a visual perspective, but he's like unbelievably drawn to odors. Okay, imagine that you really liked the way something smelled. Like you got really excited. Like you said, say your mom cooks really good roast beef, right? And you come home and like you smell it, or a steak or something, it's really good. And now magnify that by 1,000 times. And that's what a dog that's bred to like use its nose to find game animals, that's what they feel like. Like every day, the amount of information that that dog is taking in through its nose, it's just unbelievable, you know? So like the richness with which this dog partakes of the environment, it's almost a level that you just can't get your head around. So think about the thing that makes your mouth water the most, the thing that, like when you visually, when you look at it, you're like, it's just so striking. And imagine being bombarded with that kind of stuff all day, every day. And that's how these dogs, whether it's a Catahoula, right, or a bird dog, that's the way their life is. They smell things that you can't see. When you're looking at this video, what you see is I've only got 1 or 2 dogs out. There's some equipment, nothing's really changing on the course. But you got to understand that dogs primarily see the world via their olfactory senses. So what Hank's doing is he's coming out here and he's smelling everything that's been here this morning, last night, the day before yesterday, last month, 2 months ago, right? And so he is sensing the environment in a manner that's much more overwhelming than what you are sensing the environment. So a lot of times with these dogs, they'll go to pulling on the leash really hard trying to get to something, and you won't understand it. You'll be like, well, there's nothing there. Or with the Malinois, they'll go to barking and hackling up at something, you'll go, well, there's nothing there. There was something there, you just don't see it. And just because you don't see it, doesn't mean that it's not, you know, of concern to you or the dog. Very nice. Now Hank is starting to settle in a little bit. Now once Hank starts to settle in, I'll be able to back off of my reinforcement schedule a little bit, and we'll be able to get away from the rewards, you know, quite so frequently. Very nice. And what I'm looking to do before I move out of this section of the course, come on, is I'm looking to be able to walk Hank with one finger. Now the owners of Hank, what they're going to struggle with, you know, is they don't know anything about dogs, right? They just bought a dog that looked a certain way. It's a real pretty dog, goes nice with their carpet. But this dog needs a lot of exercise. You know, busy young family with 3 children, okay? And so what we have to do with Hank is we have to make sure that we get his obedience like squared away enough so that he can be more fully integrated into the family's activities, because it's going to be really hard for a relatively young mom to get up and add in extra exercise sessions for the dog. You know, so if you're going to get a dog like this, you can be single, right? And you can control him with just multiple exercise sessions during the day focused on the dog. But if you're a mom of young children, well, then you better be willing to integrate this dog into your daily activities. You take him to soccer practice, take him to football practice, and when you get there, make sure he has good enough manners so that you can hand his leash off to a bunch of kids and let him go play with them. And that way, by the time you get back in your minivan, you know, the dog is tired and he's going to mind good when you get home. Okay, so now he's doing pretty well. So we'll go over here. We'll see if we can get him up on the 4-wheeler. Now, come on, Hank, hop up. Now, with Hank, a lot of times he doesn't want to get up on the 4-wheeler. Another thing you'll kind of notice about these German Shorthaired Pointers, come on, buddy, you can do it, come on, is like they can be a little bit on the nervous side. okay? So the last time that I got Hank up on this four-wheeler, I started it, and it made him a little bit nervous. And so now he's like, well, Stonnie, I don't know if I like that. Come on, dude, you can do it. There we go. So I'll have to get him up there, and I'll turn it on, and we'll see if, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in his face, but you see him kind of looking around, and he's not sure of himself, right? Okay. So what that tells us is that compared to Ghost, he has his own problems with the four-wheeler, right? You know, Ghost gets so excited about being on the four-wheeler that he wants to attack the seat, or he wants to jump off and attack the wheels. Like with this dog, he gets nervous and he thinks maybe something bad's going to happen. Loki, he's pretty indifferent to the four-wheeler. He likes to run with the four-wheeler. As a matter of fact, Loki he looks at you like, hey man, go get the four-wheeler so you can keep up with me. Now eventually, this dog will like riding on the four-wheeler fine. You know, he'll accept it, but I don't think he's ever going to love it like, say, the Labs that you see in my videos riding on the four-wheelers all the time, okay? Which is fine because he's going to be able to keep up with, here, get back up here so I can see you, dude. Come on, come on. He's going to be able to keep up with whatever amount of exercise we want to get with the four-wheeler. But again, you see right there, trying to put him up here, fidgety. Fidgety is just a good word for these dogs. Oh, the walker, cameraman just reminded me. Now you can see where I'm struggling with this dog a little bit because he's wanting to kind of go off and do things. Now again, it's a little bit of an unfair comparison because he hasn't been here as long as the other dogs, but it's still pretty accurate, okay? Let's say that I'm at a stage of life where, like, you know, a walker is in my foreseeable future, okay? Is this going to be a good dog if I'm using a walker? I mean, look, see how his nose is on the ground, he's wanting to do things? Well, if I'm in a walker and I have poor balance, that's going to be pretty tough. So we'll try to walk him here. A little bit fidgety. Going to pull, right? See that? It's like the wind's blowing, there's leaves over there. See this constant tension on the leash? And his nose is up in the air, he's looking for stuff to do, okay? I would say that, and again, you know, because you're going to watch this, and I know in the comment section you're going to say, well, Stonnie, that dog obviously doesn't have the same amount of repetitions as the other dogs. No, he doesn't, okay? But I'm telling you, and I have no reason to lie, there's just more work involved with getting a good obedience foundation on any of these various bird dogs than there is on the herding dogs, okay, or the retrievers, okay? And anybody that tells you that that's not true, they're not being honest with you. Okay, so let's look at putting him in the van. Come on, nerd. Come on. And again, you see pulling on the leash. These dogs, a lot of times people will describe short hairs as being in a hurry. Always in a hurry. Fidgety and in a hurry. Come on, up. But he likes to ride, you know. He likes to ride, likes to get up on the seat, look out, you know. Come on, nerd. Super, you know, agile, super athletic, but notice, kind of like Ghost, in the car, out of the car, in the car, out of the car, okay? You got to be prepared for that. If you're going to buy these high energy, you know, easily excitable dogs, you got to be excited, especially during that first year of life. They're into and out of everything all the time. Okay, so. Now, short hairs are generally, from my perspective, generally pretty good off the leash. Okay, they will do some weird things that you don't like though. Like if they're off the leash, you can't approach them with linear pressure and like put a leash on them because they'll kind of get a little skittish, a little scared, or sometimes just out and out and not want to come back to you. But when you're out hiking with them, again, we'll get back to genetics. It was a dog bred to range away from a hunter but not too far to find something, and then the hunter comes and finds it, right? Okay, but the dog has no intentions of running off. And so you go, Stonnie, well, is that a good off-the-leash dog? Well, he's good off the leash if you have the space to let him go the distance that he wants to go naturally, okay? So we get out, and I, you know, kind of like I watch them and see what their natural range points are, and then I try to like start to influence them. Very nice. And it's very important that if you're going to get this kind of dog, when you're working on your recalls, that when he comes back, you don't boss him. Like, you don't call him back, tell him to sit, call him back, tell him to sit. You just let him go out, let him run, call him back. We call them check-ins, right? We just want him to come back and check in, and we look at it like every time he comes back, he's putting a little bit of extra time on the freedom meter. So we walk around with them. Every so often, we call them, we love on them, reward them. And we, up to this point, have never lost a German Shorthair Pointer, knock on wood. So I'm pretty confident that with these young dogs that come here, as long as we're on the farm, then we're in good shape as far as them not going too far away. But in the city, they can be tough because they really will get 50 to 70 yards away from you, like with incredible speed. And where this dog lives, 50 or 70 yards can easily be on a super busy road. Okay, so that's kind of what I think about this kind of dog. Now we'll throw this retrieving item. Hey. Now, every once in a while, you'll run into a German Shorthair Pointer that is just an awesome natural retriever. Now, I'm not going to make much of an effort to ask him for this back. I'm just going to throw it, see what he does. Every once in a while, you'll get a German Shorthair Pointer that's every bit as good a retriever as a field-bred lab, but not very often. Come on. Oh my gosh, very good dog. Oh, he's a good dog. Very good. Would I throw it for each other dogs one time? We'll throw it for him twice. Okay. Now, if you're lucky enough to get one of these dogs that likes to fetch, well, then it makes it a lot easier to live, in a semi-urban environment with them. Okay, because if you get one that really likes to fetch, they usually like fetching enough to retrieve to the point of being fatigued. But it's pretty rare. Come on. That's what we get a lot right there. Like, they'll get it, pick it up, bring it back to you once or twice, And so people say, well, German Shorthair Pointers are good retrievers. Everything's relative, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are some Shorthairs that are really good retrievers, but it's a low percentage, and it's especially low percentage if you compare that to like a field-bred retriever. Okay, I'll get into another dog. All right, guys, we are back with dog number 4. This is Cora. Cora is a nice English Labrador Retriever, or a show line Labrador Retriever. Listen, for those of you familiar with my channel, you know I am all about Labrador Retrievers. We like to get them around here because we know that they're going to fit in with everybody. They're going to have good appetites. They're going to be pretty pattern cognizant. They're going to be full of exuberance to meet new dogs and new people. And training them is going to be a lot of fun because they reliably like to do jobs in conjunction with the handler. Right? You got to remember, a retriever is bred to do a complex job in conjunction with the handler, as is a herding dog. Now, they're different jobs, but the overriding principle is the same. The dogs are bred to do something with people. So when you go to structuring your lesson plans with these kind of dogs, there's a lot of things that you don't have to worry about too much, You don't have to worry about the dog coming out here and getting so distracted by things in the environment that they want to run away from you. You don't have to worry about them getting nervous about strangers coming and them thinking they have to protect you from evildoers, okay? Pretty much all you have to do is manage their energy level if they're this type of dog. Now, there's a big split in Labrador Retrievers. You have show line Labrador Retrievers and you have field-bred Labrador Retrievers, or some people will say English and American, okay? This type of dog, okay, the English, the show style, this is what you're going to get in a mid-afternoon training session. You see how she's just kind of laying around and she's just being oral and like, she's not trying to not do her work, but she ain't putting a lot of effort into it, right? Come on, nerd. Come on. That's what you're going to get out of this dog. She's in the morning time, she's got a lot of energy, full of youthful exuberance, these kind of dogs. Early in the morning, she gets out, she takes off running with the Husky, she takes off running with the Malinois, she takes off running with Herman, the German Shorthair Pointer. She's not quite as agile, she's not quite as athletic, but she can keep up pretty good, but she gets tired faster. And so so her energy output's pretty high, her endurance rate is kind of moderate, and her recharge rate is pretty long. Okay. So in other words, she gets out, she has enough energy to run and play, then she gets pretty tired, then she wants to go take a nap. And their mid-afternoon sessions, a lot of times she's kind of lackadaisical, right? So if you get this kind of dog, if you get the show line Labrador Retriever, understand that they're going to be real easy to live with, they're going to be real easy to teach things to, they're going to like meeting new people, they're going to like having new experiences, but they're not a every morning, every afternoon, and every night before bed kind of dog. So when you're judging your activity level with a dog, okay, make sure that even once you've settled on a breed, that you get a dog from the right bloodline, okay? There's a big difference between Cora and my dog Annie, or my dog No Name, or Shogun, or Portly, okay? My dogs are a little bit bigger, a little bit leggier, a little bit more athletic, have tons more endurance and tons more retrieve and drive, you know? And you'll see right here, I had to get down to call her through here, because in the afternoon, now in the morning she barrels right through there. In the afternoons, a lot of times what she does is she'll get in that tunnel, and it's kind of warm, and she'll just lay down. And you try to get her out of there, and she's like, I'm napping, I'll get up later, okay? But this dog here, like it's hard to bet against this kind of dog when it comes to like regular lifestyle stuff. Like you can be a little bit older, and like with the dog, you're always wanting to think in terms of 5, 10, and 15 years. Where are you going to be in 5 years? Where are you going to be in 10 years? Where are you going to be in 15 years? Well, this dog, I have not one worry, come on there, about this dog being able to be around the owner's parents in 10 years or 15 years when, you know, maybe, you know, and this isn't wishing bad luck on them, but as you get to a certain age, you know, walkers and canes, they're just a part of life, okay? And this kind of dog, I'm not worried about these show line dogs knocking people down too much. I'm not worried about them, come on, nerds. I'm not worried about them getting too excited and jumping on you once you've got a good basic foundation, training foundation on them. Okay, they're just all in all, they're pretty awesome dogs. And that's why we recommend to a lot of people Labrador Retrievers. And I like Labrador Retrievers over other kind of retrievers. Really, there's just a lot more options. You know, I mean, I've trained plenty of golden retrievers. I've got a lot of videos with golden retrievers. I've got some videos with curly coated retrievers, with flat coated retrievers, okay? But it's really hard to source a good golden retriever. It's really hard to source a good flat coat. It's not very hard at all to source a good show line Labrador Retriever or a good field line Labrador Retriever, okay? So a lot of times you got to think in terms of being practical. But this is what you're going to get if you get this, what we call English chubby style, right? It's mid-afternoon. She's like, Stonnie, listen, we already worked this morning, dude. What? This is a union job. I'm not about working all day. I'm taking a little break. But we can slog through it. Now, here's the thing. Now, see how she doesn't have any energy to do the work? Remember with Herman, how I had to go back to a little bit faster reinforcement schedule? Well, with this dog, the one thing you can always count on with the lab is that they love to eat. Okay, so I'll throw a few high-value treats into this rest of this session, and her energy level will probably kind of come right back up. Come on, nerd, you can do it. Very good. Up, up. Very nice. And see how her tail came up and her ears came up, and it's like she's she's in a good mood. That's because like now something is happening that she's excited about, right? When she's getting fed. You know, that's another reason that this style of dog is so easy to work with, is because everybody nowadays likes to do the food work programs. You know, like people, they don't like to do too much in the way of traditional obedience anymore. So like, if you have a dog and you want to stay away from doing traditional obedience, you need them to like to eat, and these dogs love to eat and they love attention. So that makes it easy to use kind of a positive reinforcement training protocol on them. Come on, nerd. Oh, now another thing that Cora likes to do, get up there. She likes to ride, you know, like you saw Herman, when I put Herman up on the four-wheeler, he got nervous. When I put Ghost up on the four-wheeler, he was like, is this thing gonna take off moving? Do I need to attack it? Do I need to jump off and attack the wheels? You know, look at her. She's like, oh, Stonnie, are we exercising the peasants today? You know, because that's what she wants to do. And that's a thing, like when you have these English dogs, they'll fetch a little bit, but like when we go out and use the dummy launcher and stuff, they'll maybe chase it a couple of times and they'll just go watch and they'll like let the peasants do the field work. You know, I think that's funny. Come on, very nice. You can do it. Very nice. Okay, so let's go over here and talk about getting her in the van. Now, Cora's owner, he really loves Cora a lot, so he's not one to hold her to a super high standard about things, you know. So Cora can do a lot more stuff than she realizes that she can do. Come on, nerd. What are you doing? So we'll see if she's going to jump in the van or not. Most of the time, I go to put her in the van. She just kind of looks at me and expects me to pick her up. Hup, hup. See, look, she acts like she can't do it, right? She's like, come on, peasant, pick me up. Up, up, up. Now, we'll see if we add a little food into it, if she'll make a little bit more effort. Now, you see what I'm talking about? Like right over there, she was just too tired to keep on with the routine. All right, throw a little food in it. She's like, hey, let's go. Over here, she was like, I can't get in there, Stonnie, pick me up. Put a little food into place. She's like, oh, I'll jump right up there, okay? But was that much labor? You know, that's the advantage of having a dog that's easily manipulated with food, is because, like, listen, you have to feed them, and you might as well, like, get something for what you're feeding them, okay? Now, the disadvantage of the labs, at least in the, you know, the early developmental stages, is they're always picking up something and putting it in their mouth. Okay, so like you're going to get one of these dogs, it's a retriever, so like if it gets excited or anxious, it's going to have an oral displacement behavior. We have another dog we're going to bring out in a second, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. And people will get aggravated with them because they're always putting stuff in their mouth. Okay, but if you're thinking about getting a retriever, well, the dog's bred to put stuff in its mouth, so don't think that's gonna like not pop up now and again. It doesn't mean they're hard-headed, doesn't mean they're trying to ruin your day. It just means that they like putting stuff in their mouths. Now, here's the great thing about these labs. Right there. No matter where I go, you know, I know that they're not going too far away. You know, they like to be with people. And if this dog is going very far away from me, she's probably going to some other person, you know. So, like, I can take 10, 12 of these dogs out on a hike and never worry about them running away. Ain't nobody taking 12 Huskies out on a hike off the leash. All right, so we're gonna call her a couple of times. Oh my gosh, very good dog. Very responsive to being called. Let's go, come on, come on. Very responsive to walking with you. Okay, all in all, pretty good. Now we'll throw a retrieving item for her. Go that way. Oh my gosh, what a good dog. What a good dog. Oh, just a very good dog. Oh my gosh, you're a very good dog. Now, what did we see right there? Just like with the other puppies, we saw a little bit of hesitation about bringing it back, okay? Because she's not familiar with this particular retrieving item, and it has a little bit of scent on it, okay? So whenever you take something, and like this dog has been played fetch with, but with a relatively sterile retrieving item, we decided to switch it up for this because the other dogs wouldn't chase the dumbbell. And this has a little bit of bird scent on it, so the dogs get a little possessive of it, okay? So you'll be able to see, like she has a little bit of a moment where she thinks about not bringing it back, but then usually that moment will go away, and she'll want to bring it back. Now, if we have time, I'll get Annie out and I'll show you the difference. See how this dog, she went and got it twice, and now she's kind of got it and she's decided she's going to chew on it. Come on. So what I'm going to have to do with this dog is I'm going to have to work to get that nice delivery to hand, okay? Whereas with the field-bred dogs, if they're bred correctly, they kind of do it more natural, and you can do it for a lot more repetitions. But for a show line dog, this one fetches pretty well. Oh my gosh, she's a very good dog. So we're going to be able to build on that, you know. And again, I'm not trying to like really encourage them to retrieve right here. I'm just kind of trying to show you guys kind of how the dogs look at that type of activity, okay? If you'll notice, the Husky got it, and like he's possessed it. And then the Malinois got it and he possessed it. Herman, what did Herman do? I forgot. I think Herman brought it back one time, you know. This dog brought it back a few times, but there was a little hesitation there in the beginning where she thought about possessing it. And all the times, because if you have a dog that'll chase it, okay, it takes them a little while to get over that chase it, now I've got it, now it's mine. And get into the mindset, hey, I went, I chased it, I got it, now I would like to engage in that activity again, so I need to give it back to the handler, okay? And I've discussed that in lots and lots of videos about developing a strong retrieve, and this isn't that format here. We're just kind of giving you a basic idea of how the dogs look at doing things. Okay, let me get another dog. This is Maverick. Maverick is a nice black Labrador Retriever from down in Alabama. And I got Maverick out to kind of make a point about some breed-specific tendencies and how people misunderstand them. You'll notice Maverick is holding the leash in his mouth. See that? And he walks with the leash in his mouth all the time. And we get a lot of emails from people where they have, they've bought a retriever and the retriever is chewing things up in their house, or it's walking around with the leash in its mouth, or it's running around your house with your underwear or your shoes. And people are like, hey, Stonnie, what do I do about that? You know, I got this hard-headed dog. It's always got something in his mouth, okay? Well, look, that's what you bought. You bought a retriever. That means that the dog, when it's anxious in any way, whether it's a good way or a bad way, it's going to have an oral displacement behavior. It doesn't mean the dog's hard-headed. It doesn't mean they're trying to give you a hard time. But understand that if you buy a dog and retriever is part of the dog's name, right? Well, like, look, you're going to have, especially during the mid to late adolescent phases, you're going to have a certain amount of issues with the dog, wanting to put his mouth on stuff. Everybody expects it out of young puppies, 8 to 16 weeks, or maybe even 16 to 24 when the dogs are just getting settled into having big teeth, okay? But it's when the dogs are this age, okay, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, people think that should be gone, and a lot of times it's just not. And this right here is the kind of thing that it just pops up in a certain amount of Labrador Retrievers, and I don't even pay any attention to it, but it does bother some people. So sometimes when you're picking a dog, you have to think about some of the behaviors that pop up in a certain percentage of dogs and understand that you might end up with one of those dogs that has those particular traits and tendencies. And it's not that we're not going to get rid of this excessive oral behavior. But in my system, we just try to exercise and manage the dogs and get them to where they have good attention span and good impulse control so that they don't get frustrated. When they're not frustrated, then the oral displacement behaviors just go away on their own, okay? So that's what we're after, and that's what we're going to do with this dog. If you don't have the patience to solve problems like that, then maybe getting a dog that's a retriever isn't the right dog for you, If you don't have, if you don't have the proper temperament to take the time to facilitate the training techniques and situations that's going to help you get to the point where you're bringing out the best qualities in your dog, okay? Well, then maybe that type of dog's not for you. Like if you're not super patient, if you're not willing to be blown off, then a Husky's not for you. If you're not super patient and you're not willing to, have your dog kind of dart off and be fidgety, well, maybe a German Shorthair Pointer is not for you. And there's people all the time, they'll talk to me about this dog, this perfect dog that they had. But what they're really doing is they're just remembering the dog in the latter stages of its life, okay? And so they don't remember that their other dog, it did this too for a few months, and then it just went away. It wasn't a big deal. They had another dog and it jumped up on people a little bit, and it went away, They had another dog, a German Shorthair Pointer, and it was constantly darting off in the road, okay? It lasted just during the mid-adolescent phase. We dealt with it. In the post-adolescent phase, the dog was reliable off the leash, okay? And that's why we want to understand the dogs. Like, let's see this little dog at 12 weeks old. It's already growling at this dog, okay? That's a rough and tumble kind of dog, okay? And so the owner with this dog's not going to have any problems because we're going to be there for him at every developmental stage, and we're going to understand, he's going to understand the traits and tendencies of the dog because I understand the traits and tendencies of the dog. When you're doing your research, okay, don't just do internet research. Don't just watch things that reaffirm your perceptions of the dog. go meet some people that are living with the dogs. I'm trying to give you guys, you know, some honest information, some things to think about. I'm trying to give you, you know, like a sense of what it's like to work these different dogs during my daily activities, okay? And even with me doing my best to transmit that information to you, it's not the same as you being here and having to put 20 dogs a day in a van, okay? It's just not the same. Come on, up, up. Dog likes to ride. Dog likes people. Sometimes he likes people a little too much, and he'll come up to them and he'll nip them and hold on to them with his mouth, or he'll grab their clothes. Sometimes he holds the leash in his mouth, right? We have to take the dog, you know, warts and all. None of them are perfect, and we have to be willing to take and build on the good so it gradually squeezes out the bad. But this dog, I mean, he's about perfect for me. So the fact that he chews on his leash sometimes, the fact that, you know, if I'm not paying attention when we walk through the kennel, he picks something up and walks outside with it, okay, not a big deal. I don't plan on dying on the hill of him being a little bit too oral, you know. He's a good dog. I can take his leash off. I never have to worry about him running away. He's only been here 2 weeks, but within another 2 or 3 weeks, I feel like he's probably gonna pick up retrieving pretty well, you know. But he can be aggravating, can't he, cameraman? Because when people come down, if they give him 1 unit of positive energy, he gives them 10 or 15 units back. And if they're not accepting of it, he gets super oral and starts pulling on their clothes, starts grabbing their shoelaces, you know. He'll pick up purses. He's running off over here with 2 or 3 purses. just super oral, okay? So if you're going to get a lab, understand that, you know, they're going to be pretty oral. Now I'm going to call him back. He went over there. Dogs always do this. They always want to potty whenever the camera comes out, even though we give them ample opportunities to potty before. But watch him come. Look at this. Good attitude, runs right to you. Super good dog. I give him a treat every once in a while. Now let's, I'll back up here. We'll throw this retrieving item. Good. Oh my gosh, what a good dog. He's a very good dog. Most of the time, the dogs that you have a lot of problems with being oral, like they just, you know, they just need something to do with their mouth. And when you give them the right thing to do with their mouth, oh my gosh, he's a very good dog. When you give them the right thing to do with their mouth, then your problems go away. And like I said, this dog's been here for 2 weeks. Oh, he's a very good dog. And he's already, without me fussing at him, without me giving him a hard time, he's already almost like outgrown that, you know, those oral fixations that he has. Now he's still, like the other dogs, he gets a little distracted, you know. He gets this retrieving item and he wants to possess it, but he's starting to understand, just barely, but he's starting to understand. Back up there a little bit, cameraman. He's starting to realize that there is a relationship between getting to chase that, okay, and bring it back so that I'll throw it again. Very nice dog. Oh my gosh, very nice dog. Now this is the first one out of 6 dogs, right, that brought it back this many times in a row. Very nice. Now out of those 6 dogs, Loki, the Husky, he's never going to be a good retriever. The Malinois is going to be a good retriever, but he's going to want to tug some, and that's going to create a certain amount of conflict maybe with his owner. So we'll have to kind of take that drive and put it off into 2 areas: a separate tugging, you know, type of engagement activity, and a retrieving type activity. Okay. Cora, the lab, she's going to fetch. She's going to be kind of a moderate fetcher. She's going to fetch in the morning, she's going to fetch in the evenings, but she's not going to be a die-hard fetcher. This dog here, he's going to be a little bit more steady throughout the day, but none of the dogs that I've shown you have the energy level or the endurance or the recharge rate that, say, my field-bred Labrador Retrievers have, okay? So you can't just go buy a dog and go, oh, I'm going to exercise it via this physical activity. You buy that Mal and you say, oh, I'm going to tug with him. Okay, maybe you're going to tug with him at 50. You're going to tug with him at 60, you know? Like, it's just things to think about. All right, we're going to get another couple of dogs and then we'll wrap this video up. Okay, guys, I brought Lily out because Lily is a nice black Labrador Retriever, but she represents kind of another category of dogs where you're not just considering the type of dog that you're acquiring, okay? You're also considering like the health of the dog. Let me show you. All right, so Lily, when she was young, she suffered a compound fracture of her leg, and so now this leg, it doesn't function properly. And you'll notice from the other videos when you're watching her, she kind of flails this leg out when she runs. Okay, so a lot of times we'll see people that, well, just yesterday a guy called me and he had picked up a dog off the street, you know, and he's like, well, I picked this dog up, I was afraid it was going to get run over, and now I don't know what to do. You have to be very careful about choosing a dog based on emotion or based on a sense of moral obligation, because a lot of times your emotions and even your moral obligations, they're fleeting, right? Okay, so if you're going to get a dog and there's something wrong with that dog, then you're making a commitment to that dog to be there forever, you know. So I've seen way too many dogs over the course of the years where people would see them on Pet Finder, or they would be going through PetSmart or something like that, and they would see a dog and the dog looks kind of pitiful. And at that moment in time, the emotions come to the forefront of your decision-making process, and you think to yourself, I would do anything to keep that dog from suffering more. Okay. You have to understand, guys, there's a lot of work that goes into taking care of a dog that has physical disability. Okay, not only is there a lot of work that goes into it, there's also oftentimes a lot of expense, and unfortunately, there's also a lot of times, certain amount of sadness. Now, in this case, Lily, her leg just doesn't work perfectly well, but other than that, she's a very healthy, very outgoing dog, very easy to train. She's very athletic. She doesn't get much more style points because the black dogs, nobody ever thinks of them as very stylish. I can have the best trained black Labrador Retriever in the world. I go out in public, nobody mobs me and wants to love on the dog or ask me where I got him or anything. I can go out with a Husky like Loki, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful dog. So style points, you get you a black lab. You're not going to get a lot for style points, okay? But you are going to get a lot for, they're easygoing, they're easy to motivate, they're very pattern cognizant. They have enough energy to do whatever it is that you want to do based on the bloodline that you get. Right? So Lily, minus her hurt leg, she would have been a really energetic dog with a high endurance rate, but since she's hurt, I have to be kind of careful with her because sometimes she wants to do more stuff. Oh, come on, you can do it. She wants to do more stuff than what her body will allow. Even something simple like going through that tunnel. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but she has to kind of like do her leg around up through the midpoint of the tunnel where it's wider because she can't, fold her leg up and get through there. So I got to be real careful about what she gets herself into because sometimes she thinks she can do all the things all the other dogs can and she can't. So it does take me a little bit more labor, a little bit more oversight with this kind of dog. Some dogs though, listen, some dogs, the problems that they have are really going to be difficult to live with over time. And they're not always physical problems. A lot of times when you go to adopt a dog, you're going to adopt a dog that has a substantial amount of trauma scarring, and they're going to have trouble acclimating to normal life. They're going to have trouble making new friends or maintaining relationships with new people and new dogs. Okay, just the exact same thing happens to dogs that suffered a lot of trauma as people that suffered a lot of trauma. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, okay? So you have to be willing to adjust your standards based on things that are reasonable for the dog's mental and physical characteristics. So when I'm out here, working this dog here, I just adjust my standards and I know she's gonna need help with certain things. There's no amount of training that's gonna make up for the fact that she, has a bum leg. So when I'm asking her to get on the four-wheeler, I know that her whole life, I'm gonna have to be able to bend down here and pick her up and put her on the four-wheeler, okay? And her whole life, I'm gonna have to be able to pick her up and get her off of the four-wheeler. The same thing goes with the van. Come here, nerd. The same thing goes with the van. We'll go over here to get in the van. We go over here to get in the van, and my van just sets up too high off the ground for a dog that only has one leg to drive with. So you get up in, you know. And that's okay for me at my age, because I think I have a few more years of picking up dogs and putting them in my van. I can also, you know, luckily, I have other cars that sit lower to the ground. Okay, but you have to think about that, you know. What kind of car do you have? How big is your dog? Are you going to be able to afford to get a different car if, you know, if the dog can't get in the car? Are you going to be willing to carry a ramp around with you or some fold-up steps? There's lots of ways to solve problems, but you need to go into a situation when you're acquiring a dog understanding that those problems are present, you know. So, I mean, for sure, I can have a high van and I can have some steps in here that pull out, okay? But that's just one more thing that I have to carry around with me, okay? And then, like, what happens if you forget it? A lot of these steps, these folding steps and ramps that you get off Amazon, the hinges aren't the best. And so what do? You go to the park, you take your dog to the park, and maybe there's nobody else out there, it's a rainy day. You get the dog out of the car successfully, and then the ramp breaks. The hinge on the ramp breaks. Are you going to be physically secure enough to physically strong enough to pick the dog up and put it in the car? If it's icy, are you going to be able to pick the dog up and not fall down and maybe hurt yourself, because then you're not going to get any exercise and the dog's not going to get any exercise? Come here, nerd. Come on, come on. So you just, you know, you have to think about those things. So this dog likes to get in the car, likes to ride, you know, but she just can't get in there on her own. And so I have to always pick her up and put her in there. Okay, all right. Now, what about being off the leash? Well, she does have a bum leg, but she's a nice black Labrador Retriever, so I do not have to worry about her running off. Okay, I just let her off the leash, and every day I practice having her come back, having her not go too far, and then periodically I like to take something and throw it for her, but I got to be very careful since she kind of has a bum leg, you know, that I don't put her in a position where she over fatigues herself. So this dog here, okay, she has a really athletic mind. And if I come out here and I let her exercise too much, if I let her chase things too much, come on, nerd. If I let her chase things too much, okay, let her run around and play too much with the other dogs, then she gets overly fatigued. And then as she gets overly fatigued, come on, come on. As she gets overly fatigued, then we, you know, we run the risk of her getting her leg in a bad position. And when her leg gets in a bad position, she's more likely to make that injury worse, okay? Now, so even though she's a black lab and she's eventually going to be a good retriever, you see kind of the same basic, approach to possessing the retrieving item. Oh, come here, nerd, as you did with the other dogs. Now, the difference is that it's easy with this kind of dog. You see right there where she jumped up? That's what I'm talking about. These kind of dogs get themselves a little excited, and if they have a physical disability, then they can hurt themselves. Come on, nerd, you can do it. Come on, Lily, you can do it. And so look, even with the labs that have a lot of retrieving desire, if they haven't ever got a chance, come on. If they haven't ever got a chance to like really, you know, figure out that chasing and the throwing are related, well, then that's what your retrieving is going to look like in the beginning, okay? So people get so frustrated when they buy a retriever, and this dog, like, see how she's wanting to chase that? You see, she obviously has the drive or desire to chase and get this. Okay, the reality is though, is that she doesn't know how to properly channel that. So even if you buy a dog that's bred to have a lot of desire to retrieve, okay, it's no guarantee that it's going to be a retriever that that you're able to just go out in the yard with and throw a ball to exercise them to the point of them being tired. Okay, that takes work. And that's why I've shown you all these dogs. I added this little section in to make you realize, you know, I mean, I'm pretty good at influencing dogs. And when these dogs first get here, almost none of them will just go get a retrieving item and bring it back to me and play that game until they're tired. So like when you're writing your stuff in your notebook, if the main way that you plan on influencing your dog is through retrieving, understand that there's a lot of upfront work that goes into that. Because if you don't channel their desire to chase, you're not going to get the dog's not going to understand the relationship between chasing and grabbing the item and bringing it back to get to chase and grab it again. Okay, so that's very important. So we've shown them what, cameraman? 5 dogs? 5 dogs, and none of them were natural retrievers to hand. Okay, and that's pretty common. Okay, guys, so I'm going to use one of my dogs to provide some context to the retrieving that we did earlier. What I wanted to do is I wanted to take you know, all of those puppies and just kind of show you what their natural inclination to retrieve was. Okay, because I really want to make the point that you cannot depend on using retrieving to exercise your dogs very often. If you don't buy a dog specifically bred to retrieve and deliver to hand, then there's quite a bit of early work that goes into developing a strong retrieve. And even the dogs that you develop a strong retrieve with, a reliable retrieve, out of 100 of them, maybe 5 or 10 are going to be the kinds of dogs that will truly play fetch until there's a point of fatigue, and they'll come in the house and they'll lay down and be still. If you want a dog like that, you have to buy a dog like that. See this dog right here? Okay, no name. I'm just going to throw this retrieving item for him a couple of times. And what I want you to understand is that, like, I could take credit for like teaching this dog to retrieve, okay? But he started doing that the day I brought him home, okay? Like you know, you can go back. I've got, you know, maybe 100 videos with this dog, or other dogs like him also. But like the breeders do all the work when it comes to retrieving. You know, all I did was I said, listen, if you want to play that game, you got to get over here in this position. You got to stay there, and you have to wait to go get the item, and then you got to bring it right back and get right back in that spot if you want me to, okay, throw it again. Okay? But I didn't teach him to retrieve. I taught him that there are certain you know, expectations that must be met if he wants me to engage in that activity with him. He looks at it like you know, it's a cooperative endeavor, not something that he's been made to do or taught to do. You know, from his perspective, he's just perfectly happy all day to come out here and just go get it, bring it to me, and I throw it. All the stuff where he jumps over here into the heel position, he looks at me, he holds it politely, that's just, you know, that's just from his point of view, some unnecessary rules that I put on what he likes to do naturally, okay? So unless you're buying a dog from a proven line of hardcore retrievers, you're going to get something along the lines of what you saw out of those other 6 or 7 puppies today. You're going to get some level of retrieving instinct, and you're going to be able to build on that to a certain degree, but you are not going to be able to use that as your sole source of exercise. And without a good source of exercise, you're going to have a hard time you know, getting your dog to settle down and integrate properly into your lifestyle, okay? I say this over and over and over again, but a tired dog is a good dog, and there's no substitute for your average dog that's better than a walk. Okay, retrieving is not better than a walk. Running on treadmill is not better than a walk. Going outside, taking the leash off, and letting them interact with the environment and have a good time and explore, that's the best way to manage a dog's natural energy level. And all the obedience you need is the amount of obedience that allows you to go out and do those activities reliably. If you want a dog that fetches and never stops fetching, well, you can buy one. But then guess what? You have a dog that every day all they think about is fetching, and that is presents a set of problems that, you know, can be a little bit aggravating on its own, right? Okay, so like I'm not telling you to go out and get a dog that likes to fetch. It's actually much easier just to take dogs for walks than it is to buy a dog that loves to fetch and have to play fetch with them all day, every day. All right. Very good dog, No Name. Very good. Okay guys, now we've talked a whole lot about dogs here at my facility. We're going to load up in the van and we're going to go over to the farm and we're going to get a little bit of adventuring in. So we're going to get in the canoe and we're going to ride around in the side-by-side and do a little hiking. And you know, we'll just kind of take a look at how each dog adapts, and then we'll talk about some of the pluses and minuses of the different breeds in terms of their mental and physical characteristics in real-life adventuring. A giant mud fest. Look at Hunter. Can you see that, cameraman? Come on, Spencer. Oh my gosh. Listen, look, you guys, at this mud that I'm going through. Okay. I think that Catahoula is going to be just fine. It's going to be the best one out of all these dogs, I imagine. Oh, but this is when you know you're doing some good adventuring, guys. Let me get over here. Let me get over here and show you how ooey gooey this mud is. Right? Okay. Oh my gosh, look. Look at my boots, cameraman. Right? So you might say, well, Stonnie, why are you letting these dogs get in this mud? I'm a big believer in living as much life as what you can live. The more environmental socialization that we get in these formative stages of development, the faster we're going to help dogs realize their full potential. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's a Husky or it's a Lab like Cora, or look at Spencer. Oh, come here, come here. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. You think Spencer's mom would have ever let her have this experience, right? But this experience is very valuable, guys. Every experience is very valuable. People think when they get a little dog like Spencer that they have to baby them all the time, but that's not really true. You know, little dogs, they like to get out and they like to explore. You know, look at Cora. Now Cora, her owner, he's a big adventure guy. And so you can see she takes right to this. This is very natural for Cora. Let's see if we can get some of these other dogs back over here. Come on, come on. Come on, dogs. Here comes No Name. Oh, look, here comes Loki. Now you notice Loki came. I have a long line on Loki, you know, just in case, but I'm not holding on to it. And he's doing a pretty good job of staying fairly close. Ghost, what are you doing down there? Cameraman, pan over there and look at the dogs chasing Charlotte. Charlotte, run down through here. Look at that, climb up on that log. Perfect, perfect, very nice. Oh, come on dogs, come on, very good. Look at, little Loki's a naturally good adventure dog. Very nice. Oh, Hunter, come on. Look at little Hunter. Come up here so you can see how muddy Hunter is, cameraman. Oh, look at Cora. Oh, Cora's having a good time. Come on, get up there. Oh, very nice. Very good dogs. Learning by doing is definitely the best kind of learning. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Give you a little help. Come on, you can do it. There you go. Come on, Loki. Oh, Loki's leash is hung on something, Charlotte. Oh, come on, Loki, you can do it. Very nice. Good dog. Uh-oh, getting too close to the top of my boots. All right, back up there, cameraman. Oh, don't fall. Oh, the cameraman is down. The cameraman is down. Oh, the cameraman is learning by doing. Come on, Loki. Very good. Very good dogs. Okay. All right, Charlotte, let's head on down the pond a little ways. See if we can get these dogs back. All right, cameraman, you can just fall in behind us now if you can make it out of this pond without falling down. Oh my gosh, what a muddy, ooey gooey adventure. Bunch of muddy dogs. Now if you stay up there on that part, it won't be so muddy. Whoa. Ah. See if we can get them back. Dogs! Look at these fine animals. Now, notice how, though, like as we're out here trying to have a good time, look at what is happening. Ghost, the Malinois, is getting overstimulated, and he's chasing and he's biting No Name. No Name's a very good-natured dog, but he is a big, powerful dog. He'll probably get tired of that in a minute and beat Ghost up a little bit, put him in his place. That's okay when it happens here, and we'll try to work that out with Ghost. The problem is you get that kind of dog, you don't have access to perfectly patient mentor dogs like I do, and you go to the dog park with that, you start a big dog fight, right? And I don't know if you've ever seen Malinois fight or Malinois and pit bulls or any of those big athletic dogs fight. Guys, it's really hard to break up, and that's what they do, you see, and No Name just got tired of it a little bit and bit him. And that wasn't enough to drive Ghost off of him, so Ghost is probably going to continue to aggravate him over the course of the day until No Name really beats him up pretty good. And he'll learn his lesson, you know, and that'll help him stay out of fights later on in life. Come on, dogs. Very nice. Now again, watch, this is going to be a constant all day when you can hear this of Ghost getting overstimulated and chasing and barking at and biting the other dogs. And that's just kind of a natural Malinois thing. Look, see? So when you see those dogs in those 30-second Instagram clips doing awesome tricks and chasing the ball and chasing and biting people in suits, understand that you know, those characteristics come with a price, right? Okay, when you put them in an environment where they're hyper-stimulated, they chase and bite stuff, and that can be very, very problematic. 9 out of 10 emails I get related to Malinois or Dutch Shepherds is them inappropriately chasing and biting something. Hey, can you see Spencer, cameraman? Look. Spencer wants to be a big dog. Come on, come on. Well, hello, Cora. Now notice Cora, she's starting to settle down and stay a little bit closer. It's really a good idea to go spend some real time with friends of yours or people that you meet and go outdoors with them and their dogs so you can get an idea of what the dog's energy output looks like over the course of a day. Because a lot of dogs can look like they have a lot of energy, but that energy dissipates very quickly. Some dogs, they start off with a lot of energy and they end up with a lot of energy, you know. So we don't expect Loki or Ghost to slow down much during the day. And of course, I got a dog pottying in the video. They always wait to potty in the videos. Oh my gosh, look at this ooey gooey mud, Charlotte. Whoa! All right, we'll get up here and we'll take a look at each dog in terms of how muddy they are. That'll give us an idea of what we have to, how we'll have to clean them up when we get back to the kennel. Okay, all right, let's get to a dry spot. Okay, I can kind of bend down right here. All right, so cameraman, let's see. This is how muddy I am, right? Come here, dogs. All right, here's the Catahoula. So we've been out at our adventure spot doing a little bit of mud acclimation for just a few minutes. And this is how muddy the Catahoula is at this point. Okay, now come here, Cora. We'll take Cora. This is how muddy Cora is. All right, get kind of an idea. All right, who else do we have? Come here, dogs. Come on, come on. Come on. Come on. Oh my gosh. See if you can get Spencer there. Hunter, come here, Hunter. Come on. Charlotte, go get Spencer for me. Oh, all right. This is, this is Hunter. This is how muddy Hunter is. Oh, come here, Ghost. Oh, there's Ghost. That's how muddy Ghost is. And then, all right, last one. There's Loki. Okay, let me see if I can pick Loki up. He's a big boy. All right. Now, we did the mud exposure first because I wanted to kind of make a point. See how muddy these dogs are? Now listen to that Malinois, still doing that chasing and barking and biting. But look, I've showed you how muddy each of the dogs were. Did I show them Spencer? Charlotte, get Spencer for me. I got one more to show you. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to like let the dogs just kind of, you know, muck around the farm a little bit. Oh my gosh. And we'll see how with like the Malinois and the Catahoula, the dirt's just gonna kind of dry on them and their coats have oil and the dirt's just gonna kind of fall off. Hunter, a lot of that dirt will fall off, but he's white, so it'll show up. The Husky, a lot of that mud's gonna soak right into his dense coat, and we're gonna have to really probably put a lot of effort into washing him when we get home. And Spencer is gonna be a complete mess. I mean, just absolutely complete mess. Cora, she's gonna clean up kind of on her own. Get one little hose off when we get home, her and No Name will be fine. Okay, now we're gonna go up here and work on putting them in the side-by-side. And we'll ride them around a little bit, see how they do with noise and vibration and fast movement. And then we'll put them in the canoe. All right, you ready? Let's go. Come on, come on. Look, non-stop, all day. Now, the more that we do these kind of activities with Ghost, then the faster that's going to go away. But it's really tough even for us, and we're in these kind of environments every day. For you guys, I want you to really think before you get a Malinois, can you deal with that? Can you deal with the social pressure of having, you know, a dog at the dog park that other people don't like? Can you deal with the conflict that comes with dog fights? Do you have extra money in your bank account for if your dog attacks a small dog and hurts it? Because that nowadays, emergency vets, it's easy to run up a $10,000, $12,000 bill. Do you have extra money in your bank account if your dog, your Malinois, starts a fight with a big pit bull and he comes out on the losing end, right? Because then you got a lot of money in vet bills, plus you have to take off work to take care of him and help rehabilitate him. A lot of factors to consider. Come on, Loki. Good dog, Loki. Now, I'm really impressed with Loki staying close, and I'm tempted to take his long line off, but Loki is a very smart dog, and being out here with so many other dogs, I'm pretty sure he would realize that you know, our ability to influence him was kind of lax once we take the leash off, and you know, he might get the best of us. And so we're going to leave his leash on him for a while, at least until he's very fatigued. Spencer's owner, she doesn't want her to get dirty, right? But look at what Spencer loves doing. She is as muddy as you can be, and she loves playing in the dirt. I mean, this is the happiest I've ever seen her in her whole life. She's digging up dirt and eating it. Oh, Spencer is a wild dog. All right. Okay, cameraman, let's see about getting these dogs in this side by side. Okay. So, try to load these dogs up in the side by side. And right off the bat, Cora, she likes to ride the most, so she jumped right up in there. Give her a little treat. And come on, Ghost. Come on, you can do it. No Name, you want in there? Come on, Ghost. Ghost gonna go wherever No Name goes, so just so that he can, you know, kind of aggravate No Name. Aha, and we have lost Loki, so we got to find Loki. Loki, come on! Now this is gonna be a miracle. Did she jump out of there? You're a nerd. Look who came back when I called him. Dang, that's amazing. Come on, Loki. Come on, buddy. Let's get in the side by side. All right, come on. All right, get in there. Okay. All right, in the side by side, just like the four-wheeler, some of the dogs, they immediately like to get in, and some of them, you know, they don't like it at first. After a while, though, most of them figure out that whenever we get into side by side, we're going someplace where it's fun, and then they decide they want to go. Now, the key is with these young athletic dogs is getting them to stay in the side by side once you get them in there. Now, you see what this dog's doing here? Remember I told you we were gonna look and see, like, we're gonna kind of track how muddy they are and then look and see how hard they are to clean up when we get back to the kennel. You'll notice that periodically through the day, the Catahoula and Ghost, the Malinois, and Loki, the Husky, are gonna be like rolling around in the grass like that. And you're gonna be surprised at how much of that mud and dirt that just comes off of them naturally. Now, look at this dirt dauber over here. None of that mud and dirt's coming off of her. Okay, come on. Come on, dogs. And we're gonna practice just kind of taking off and moving a little bit before we actually take them on the farm and ride. Now, you'll see at the kennel where I was having dogs jump up on the ATV, and then I would start the ATV, and then we kind of ride the ATV around in a pretty controlled environment. That's a lot different when we get out here to the farm because there's a lot more going on. Okay, so what you have to watch for is, especially with dogs that like to chase stuff, okay, is they'll, like if they see something, a rabbit or something as you're, you know, going along, then they'll just jump right out of the side by side and want to chase it. And so of course, you know, that can be dangerous. Now, dogs like Cora, you know, once they get pretty tired, they're pretty good at just kind of getting in the side by side and going to sleep. And dogs like Loki, listen, he's a pretty good rider, but if he was to jump out of the side by side, say in a little bit of a wooded area, and you know, you didn't have a good recall on your Husky, which most people don't, listen, they can cover a lot of ground very quickly. Now, this is about, we're doing this with the side-by-side because that's what we do here in Kentucky. We ride a lot, but like these rules, they're the same. It wouldn't matter if you're just out hiking or biking or canoeing, whatever you're doing, the same principles apply. We're in a mode of transportation, and we would like for the dogs to remain in that mode of transportation and be calm, attentive, and polite until we get to a place where it's okay for them to, you know, get out and play and have a good time. All right, cameraman, go ahead and show them what's going on in the front here. Okay, so here's Hunter. He always wants to ride in the front. That Catahoula, that's asleep on Charlotte's lap. Okay, and Spencer, she doesn't know what's going on. She didn't. She wasn't really signed up for adventure training. We just brought her along. Okay, so we're just going to start the side by side, and then we're going to kind of move. Now, I went ahead and staged some leashes on the dogs so that I can control them, you know. And what I want to do here is I want to make sure that the dogs understand, you know, the basic rules of this game in this environment. So we just go forward a little ways. And then we'll go backwards a little ways. Okay, and so now we know that all these dogs have a general idea that What we're doing right here at the farm is the same thing that we were doing at the kennel, right? We know that each specific type of dog has certain breed-specific tendencies. Like this Jack Russell, he, like the Malinois, is very likely to jump out. So what we'll do is we'll take these dogs back over to the van, and then we'll take each one of them on a trip around the farm individually until we know for sure that they're going to stay in the side-by-side and reliably. And then we'll put 2 in and then 3 in, and that's kind of, that's our plan for the week, you know. And at the end of the week, they won't even need leashes. They'll just get in a side-by-side and just out of habit, they'll ride because they know that being good in the side-by-side leads to getting to the other part of the farm where we get to run and play. Okay guys, so we're gonna start off doing a little bit of paddleboard work. And on the paddleboard, we have Ghost, and Hunter. So we have a Malinois and a Jack Russell, which would be notoriously aggravating dogs in the beginning stages of doing paddleboarding. So one of the things I'll try to do here is get it so that you can, let me see if I can come on, get back up here, Ghost. Come on, Ghost. Get up here so they can see you, dude. Oh. All right, there we go. All right, now, in the beginning stages of this, I fully expect for these dogs to start giving me a hard time. That's why I have my waders on. I want to make it so that if I need to get off of here, you'll notice there's a long line attached to the front of the paddleboard. And if I need to, I can get off of the paddleboard and just kind of walk around here in the pond. Now, with both of these kind of dogs, you can see like where there's stuff going on up there at the trucks, they're both kind of hyper focused and looking to see what's going on up there. And that's what you're always fighting with these very vigilant dogs that have a low threshold at which they get excited and want to chase and bite stuff, okay? So even though the Malinois is a herding dog and Hunter is a terrier, okay, the base problems that they present in terms of like managing them, training them, living with them, is that they like to chase and bark and bite. So if you plan on doing a lot of paddle boarding and stuff, it's not that they can't be great partners. It's just that, you know, for that whole, maybe first year, year and a half, well really until you get them out, till you get them into the post-adolescent period, okay, you're gonna have to be very on point with your management style, okay? And so that means like not only lots of early training, which helps, but also being cognizant of what's going on in your environment. Too much dog training revolves around like your head looking at the dog and the dog looking at you, but that's not real life. If you want to go adventuring with the dog, then your head's going to be up, your eyes are going to be out, you're going to be looking at interesting stuff in the environment, and so is your dog. And when you're looking at stuff and the dog's looking at stuff, you might not both be looking at the same stuff at the same time, okay? So you have to learn to scan and figure out what kind of things are going to excite your dog and make them take off and start chasing something. Now you guys will see up there, maybe on the bank, the Catahoula. Just trying to get you a few little looks here. Now with that Catahoula, again, when he gets older, it's the type of dog that's bred to chase and find game and make noise until you come find him. So we're gonna try to get a really early start on him and get that under control at an early age. Very nice. Okay, all right, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're looking at with a terrier and a really high drive herding dog. Now I'll go back over here and I'll get us either Loki, the Husky, or Cora, the Lab, so we can see what they're up to. Now, right here, If you guys watched my other videos about canoeing with dogs, a big problem area that you have to watch out for is you might get all the way through your first, half a dozen canoeing exercises and you start thinking that, hey, I don't have to pay attention. My dog does great in the canoe. And about when that happens, you'll get up to the bank, and when you get up to the bank, a rabbit or a squirrel, you'll kind of startle them and they'll take off running, and the dog, being so close to the bank, will jump right out and chase them. Okay, so always understand that in the beginning stages of your kayak, canoe, boat training, okay, getting on the kayak is going to be the part that you got to watch, and staying in, not jumping out. But right about the time where you have mastered that, you're very likely to run into a problem where they get close to the bank and they feel like they can just jump out and do their own thing. So don't take anything for granted until you have really a whole lot of varied experiences under your belt. Now look what happened here. See this Catahoula? It's what I was telling you guys about. Like with this particular dog, like learning by doing is all we need, for this dog to mature into a dog that is going to play his role properly. All right, let's go get us another dog. All right, so Hank the Catahoula is on first. Now we'll see if we can get Loki on. Okay, all right. Oh. Whoa. All right. Okay. All right, so we are cooking with gas now. See if I can get Loki to turn around there. Hey Loki, turn around and show him how pretty you are. Very nice. What a good dog. Now again, Loki, kind of dog that'll trick you a little bit. He's so smart, so intelligent, so pattern cognizant. He just really picks things up very quickly. But we have to fade off of this leash very, very carefully, okay? Even though the long line's not attached to his leash, okay, that leash, it gives him pause in terms of thinking about, hopping off here and maybe running away. So what I'll probably do is each time we come over, I'll put a successively shorter leash on him just to remind him. And then after I have enough repetitions, like maybe, 10 days, 2 weeks of him coming over here and not giving me any indication that he's going to blow me off, then I think we might be able to get off leash with him and have a good chance of being successful. Now, listen, that is, in a situation where Hunter back there. What are you doing, Hunter? That's in a situation, come on dude, where my kennel provides a perfect, come on. Oh, Hunter's gonna drown. My kennel provides like a perfect situation to get dogs to mind off the leash. I would be really hesitant to say that the average person is going to be able to take Loki and do all the things I'm doing with him without a whole lot of really extensive training. Again, let me see if I can get him to turn around so you guys can see him. Turn around, dude. This dog, again, 100% for style points, 100% for pattern cognizance, okay? Really low percentage for trustworthiness though. But I do like him. He's very fun to hang out with. I just always feel like we're one step away from him doing something that's gonna lead to me having to put in a lot of work going to find him. We'll go backwards for a minute. There we go. That should be a good shot, cameraman. Talk to him a little bit. Right here. Let me come towards you just a little bit. Talk to him. This right here, guys, this right here is what sways you with this dog. He's just too good looking. Anytime you're around a dog or a human being that's too good looking, hey, you better check yourself because it's really easy to make bad decisions. Oh, very nice. Oh, we've lost one. We've lost one. Come on, Hank. Oh, look at that. 12 weeks old, learning by doing like a champ. All right, let's go over here and we will get us a nice Labrador Retriever and finish up this section. Oh, we got also Spinza, don't we? Okay. All right. Let's get back to the bank. All right. Let me get up here. Oh my Lord, what a mess. Life and times of a famous dog trainer. All right, I got my paddleboard backwards here. See if we can clean off some of this mud. Oh. Okay, so I am back, and we have Hunter the Jack Russell, we have Spinza the mini Labradoodle, and we have Cora the yellow Labrador Retriever. Now, one of the things I want you to notice about Cora here, she's got some fresh mud on her, but like if you'll notice, like a lot of that mud that was covering her whole body earlier is kind of already cleared off a little bit. That's the amazing thing about dogs with different kind of coats, right? So like with this, can you see that, cameraman? This dirt and mud is caked in this fine hair, you know. But like if you look at Cora, other than the fact she's got some new black mud on her, most of that mud from over there earlier when we were doing the first bit of mud exposure, it's kind of gone. Okay, so we'll move around here. Now, yet another thing to consider when you're picking your dog, these two dogs illustrate perfectly, is weather. Like we're headed into cold weather here in Kentucky, but I mean, it doesn't get really all that cold. But so for example, if it's like right now, if this dog falls into the pond, she doesn't really care. You know, she's insulated well, and cold water, all the way down to when we come over here in the wintertime, break ice, and they'll get in the water and swim. Not Spinza. Spinza falls into water right now. I'm gonna have to take off my coat and wrap her in, and like it's gonna be a whole big thing because her body is not set up to retain heat well. You know, so if you live in a really hot environment, then it's a good idea to pick a dog that's bred to do well in a hot environment. If you live in a cool environment, it's best to, you know, pick a dog that's bred to do well in a cool environment if you're planning on going for any kind of adventures. And you might say, well, Stonnie, I'm not planning on going for any adventures. I'm not really planning on getting outside a lot. Okay, well, that doesn't mean that just because you're, you know, not planning on getting outside a lot, that you can just buy whatever kind of dog you want. Because if you're not going outside a lot, can you see her, cameraman? If you're not going outside a lot, what does that mean that you're doing? It means that you're sitting in the house all the time. You know, and a dog that likes to move is not good at sitting in the house all the time. It's not fair to them, you know. So if you have that Husky, you know, it's not fair to get that dog and say, well, Stonnie, I live in Texas, and you know, but I've got air conditioner. Because what that tells me is that you're going to be keeping the dog in the air conditioner all the time, which means that he's not going to get to go outside and run and explore and you know, do the things that helps him be the best dog he can be. If you take a dog like Loki, or if you take a dog like Ghost, the Malinois, and you keep them inside too much, you don't let them exercise, well, then you're just going to get all kinds of displacement behaviors. You know, they'll be destructive, they're going to bark a lot. That dog Loki, even with a lot of exercise, how much noise does he make in the kennel, cameraman? I mean, it's just crazy. Just, I can't even do the noise. It's a crazy noise, okay? And we exercise them a lot. So what if you have neighbors? You want to get a Husky and you're not going to exercise it and you're going to have neighbors? Well, guess what? They're going to be unhappy. You know, they're going to be calling the homeowners association on you. Maybe sometimes they're going to be calling the police on you. I saw a couple of guys get in a fight one time over barking dogs, beagle, in a subdivision. And one of the guys, he was a bond salesman, hit the other guy who was an obstetrician in the head with a shovel. That's no kidding. Maybe I'll tell that story on YouTube one of these days. Okay, but those are things to think about. Now Cora, she can fit into a broad range of environments. And one advantage, you know, I'm always saying that all dogs want to be labs and all labs want to be black. But one advantage these lighter colored dogs have over black labs, and it's a small advantage, but it is an advantage, is they do a little bit better like down south during the summertime. I mean, not enough that it really makes a lot of difference to me, but enough so that I know somebody is going to bring it up on this video comment section. Okay. All right. What's Spencer doing back there? She doing okay? All right. Okay. Well, guys, I think we are going to wrap this video up here now. I got to go back over there and do a little bit more side-by-side training. We might throw a little bit of that footage here in at the end. But I know this was a long video, and I'm very glad that you guys stuck around to the end. You know, I'm not telling you that I know everything about dogs, but listen, I do live with dogs, a lot of dogs every day of the year, and I do a lot of activities with dogs. And so I think my opinion is worth listening to. Now, anything that you saw in this video that's interesting to you, write it down in your notebook, and then go find somebody else and ask them their opinion. Go find someone else who trains as many dogs as I do and does as many adventures as I do, and then see if they have something to say that's similar or dissimilar to what I have to say, right? And do that research before you get a dog, because if you don't, you're going to have to call a guy like me and give him lots of money, or you're going to end up pawning that dog off on a family member or on some type of rescue group, and that's really not fair. It's really not fair to the people that, you know, have big hearts and are willing to take on those kind of responsibilities, and it's not fair to the dog. All right, well, I'll see you guys next week. Come on, dogs, go back to the truck.